This is your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, November 27th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Make marijuana legal, Democratic legislative leader says, from Arizona Star Net. Saying legislation is better than a voter initiative, the second-ranking Democrat in the state House wants to legalize marijuana for recreational use. Representative Ruben Gallego of Phoenix pointed out proponents of making marijuana legal for adults are gearing up to put the issue on the 2016 ballot, and he believes the voters who approved medical marijuana use 3 years ago may be ready to take the next step. But Gallego warned about anything adopted by voters is pretty much cemented into place. The Arizona Constitution sharply limits legislative tinkering with anything approved at the ballot, even if they find major flaws. So Gallego wants to have the issue debated through the legislative process, with the idea lawmakers are better suited to come up with a comprehensive plan, one without unforeseen problems, than outsiders circulating petitions. Gallego said what should concern legislators is the plan by the Marijuana Policy Project to put a legalization measure on the 2016 ballot that cannot be altered once approved. The legislation Gallego is crafting would allow those at least 21 years old to possess up to an ounce of marijuana and grow up to 5 plants. Details on how and where it could be sold and by whom are still being worked out. NORML lawyers say cops can't make arrests based on pot. This from BostonMagazine.com. Lawyers representing a nonprofit group that supports the legalization of marijuana filed a brief in the state's highest court arguing that police officers shouldn't be allowed to rely on federal prohibition laws in order to stop and search people if they detect the smell of pot. In their brief, submitted on behalf of members of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, or NORML, Michael Cutler and Steve Epstein, two attorneys, cited the Massachusetts statewide decriminalization laws and a prior Massachusetts Supreme Court ruling to back up their argument. In 2011, the Massachusetts Supreme Court ruled that the smell of marijuana doesn't justify a probable cause for a police search or a traffic stop. The Suffolk District Attorney's Office, unsatisfied with the outcome of that court decision, claimed an arrest was justified under federal law, which prohibits the possession of any amount of pot. Attorney Cutler said if the Supreme Judicial Court were to side with the Commonwealth on the issue, it would enable federal law to justify police searches otherwise illegal under state regulations. Washington applicants seek marijuana grow licenses more than retail, from spokesman.com. In its first week of applications, it's clear that Washington has more than enough people willing to grow the drug, but so far there are applications for less than half the number of stores state regulations allow. Based on the State Liquor Control Board's first week of applications, the State Liquor Control Board will regulate recreational marijuana sales approved last year by voters. On Tuesday, they released the names and locations from the 922 applications filed in the first week. The Liquor Board has said it will grant up to 334 retail licenses statewide with limits in each county. So far, it has received applications for just 158 retail licenses and no applications in 14 counties. Anti-pot cities may get sued from the Seattle Stranger. In a legislative committee hearing last week, state lawmakers were particularly concerned with jurisdictions that oppose legal pot companies. More than 50 cities, including Vancouver, Kent, and Issaquah, have enacted bans on the cannabis businesses. But that's not the state's problem, Washington State Liquor Control Board Director Rich Garza told the committee. The state intends to issue a license to any qualified applicant, regardless of any city's moratorium on pot businesses, and let the cities defend themselves from lawsuits from licensees. Mayor moves to limit medical marijuana dispensaries from the Chicago Tribune. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Alderman Edward Burke introduced a plan Tuesday to limit where medical marijuana dispensaries and growing operations can set up shop in the city after the drug becomes legal January 1st. The proposal would require special use permits from the Zoning Board of Appeals, limit locations to manufacturing districts, and establish minimum parking requirements. Alderman Burke from the 14th District said, quote, "We regulate everything from liquor licenses to how many residents may be built above a certain height, so it makes sense to give Chicago residents some control over where these types of operations can be located," end quote. This has been your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, November 27th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines on the Denver City Council's vote to ban the smoking of marijuana on one's own backyard or porch if it's visible by the public. We'll tell you why that's an extremely bad idea when we come back. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back. Hey, tokers and tokettes, Radical Russ here.